The issues I want to point out very quickly: we advocate no money. People sometimes don't understand why. We advocate automation, especially, well, automation almost entirely, but, well, actually, I'm going to stop right there because I'm not going to go into specifics on this. We advocate artificial intelligence to be used. There's one that gets a lot of confusion. We advocate a technological unification of the globe. Technological unification is required. I'm going to go into that in a second. We advocate no property, and people throw their hands up at that too, and they say, wait a minute, that's just too reminiscent of communism, because they have no frame of reference. And of course, we advocate sustainable city systems. Now, if you were just to bring that list up to general people, and also we advocate science as a methodology, which should go without saying, but unfortunately we're at the tail end of the dark ages as far as I'm concerned on this planet, so I guess I have to restate the obvious. But nevertheless, these points, when you bring them up, you know, most people, if they don't have a frame of reference, they really don't know what to think of any of it. So I want to just quickly hit these points really quickly with the fundamental summaries to help you guys out there in case you ever encounter this. 1 second here. Okay, so no money. You go up to somebody and they say, oh yeah, the Zeitgeist Movement, they advocate no money. And they might ask why. The reason we advocate no money is on multiple levels. The reason is on multiple levels. But here's the most influential one. It is utterly paralyzing because money creates established institutions. Money creates institutions that are forced, for their own survival, to perpetuate themselves. Therefore, progress is inhibited by money more than it is accelerated by it. I'll say that again. Money serves as an incentive only to a certain degree. Once you build an establishment, you have lots of people working for you, doesn't matter how honest or genuine you think you might be. The moment you have that type of establishment, and the moment something comes along to challenge whatever your advocation is that you make money off of, you're going to have a natural propensity to want to restrict the development of anything that might take away your market share. That is the underlying mechanism that governs the whole of society. That is why progress in, say, renewable energies is utterly paralyzed. That is why it is far too expensive, because there's no mass production to create the type of renewable energy infrastructure that's required to move us out of our current depleting paradigm. So, why do we advocate no money? Well, there's many reasons for that, but the main one is it's socially paralyzing, far over it serving as any form of positive incentive for mobilization. It does not advocate change. Money perpetuates the stopping of change more than anything else. Scientific ingenuity, the history of scientific ingenuity is one long history of money being in the way of the development. I was just watching a documentary on Nikola Tesla, and it brought up a historically significant issue with J.P. Morgan. As many of you might know, Nikola Tesla was sponsored by J.P. Morgan towards the end of his life. Nikola Tesla really had a really beautiful social view. He felt that energy should be free. And he discovered that it was possible, in theory, to tap into the ionosphere to generate energy. And you could pull the energy down through a form of electrostatic magnetism, if I remember correctly. And he went to J.P. Morgan to get funding for this project, which in his mind would allow essentially free energy. And of course, that's a loaded word. It's not really free energy, so don't think I'm advocating, free energy. There's no such thing. Even the sun, while it's in extreme abundance, it's not free energy. The sun will eventually burn out, or something to that effect. He wanted to have exercise in an attempt to do something that would benefit the whole of humanity, which would incur a loss of money for J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan shut down the Wardenclyffe Tower project because he wasn't about to even entertain the possibility of all the people in the world having, quote, free energy, or energy in such abundance that they don't have to pay for it. It was a form of wireless energy. Now, you can argue the technical ramifications of that all you want. What doesn't change is the fact that when you're given the possibility to make something so abundant, to make something so available to everyone that money can't be made off of it, those in power do not have an altruistic sense. They want money. Those that are conditioned into the monetary paradigm of self-interest are going to push that stuff aside. And that is really where the problem of money comes in. Establishment orthodoxies will shut down progress for their own self-interest, and that is what we've seen generation after generation. And that's one angle of it again, but I want to leave it at that and go on to the next one, automation. Someone might ask, why automation? Two reasons. Actually, one main reason. Statistically, automation is more productive than human labor. And that goes for just about everything that you can find an automated application in anything that's mechanized today is more productive in operation than if you had people doing it. And the reasons for that are pretty much obvious. But I made chart points in the London lecture about how employment was inverse to productivity. We can look at the steel industry to see that one in play very easily. And this type of tendency is going to carry over into every other medium when it comes to mechanization. That is just the way it is. So what it means, it's more productive. So why should we be doing something that isn't as productive as something else when we can create an abundance through the latter? The only reason that we don't push automation is because people want to keep their jobs, because we're stuck in an ancient paradigm where you have to have labor for income. That is going to become obsolete, and the telltale signs are there. And it is, again, socially irresponsible for us not to push automation in all areas. And once again, the monetary system holds that back because the labor system is associated with the monetary system. So why automation? Because it is socially responsible not to automate, associated with